Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Water Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because Water Dragon is a really fun card to play and I absolutely love all the support cards that this deck has. Being able to summon out cards like Water Dragon Cluster and then swarm the board with Water Dragons to help you go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing a single copy of Water Dragon Cluster. Water Dragon Cluster is definitely a one-of in the build that's super easy to summon out to your side of the field with your bonding spell and trap cards. This card cannot be normal summoned or set, it must be special summoned by the effect of a bonding spell or trap card, and if this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect. That effect monsters your opponent currently control cannot activate their effects for the rest of the turn. Also change your attack points to 0 until the end of this turn, which is a great effect to be able to OTK your opponent with. Also has the ability, quick effect, you can retrieve this card and then special summon out 2 Water Dragon monsters from your hand or deck, which is a really cool ability to instantly get them out on your side of the field. The only downside is it does special summon them in defense position and it ignores their summoning conditions. We then play 2 copies of the original Water Dragon. We play this card at 2 in the build because we summon this card off of Water Dragon Cluster, so you really only need 2 copies of this card because it can be summoned from your hand or deck using Water Dragon Cluster. We then play 3 copies of Deuterion. Deuterion is definitely a 3-of in the build, as this card has the ability you can discard this card to add a bonding spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And if this card is normally special summon, you'd actually target a Hydrogeddon, Oxygeddon, or a Deuterion in your graveyard and special summon it to your side of the field, which is a pretty cool effect for this card to have. We then play 3 copies of Oxygeddon. Oxygeddon is definitely a 3-of in the build, as it works with all of our bonding spells and trap cards, which is why we play this card as a 3-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Hydrogeddon. Hydrogeddon is an amazing 3-of in the build, and just helps out a lot to be able to play this card because it helps you go in for all sorts of cool plays. Because when this card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you actually get to special summon another Hydrogeddon from the deck, which is a really cool ability to instantly special summon out another copy of Hydrogeddon to your side of the field off this card's ability directly from your deck to your side of the field. We then play 2 copies of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. This card is a really good boss monster to be able to play because we're playing so many dinosaur monsters in the deck. You can use a dinosaur engine in the deck to go along with all of your Water Dragon cards. And this card is really easy to summon out to your side of the field, and it's a really awesome boss monster that's basically walking Book of Eclipse. You can attack every single monster your opponent controls, which is insane to be able to do. And it attacks a defense position monster, you send that defense position monster to the graveyard and inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent, which is a really awesome ability. We then play a single copy of Xeno. Xeno helps you go in for a lot of really cool plays in the deck, and is overall just a fantastic combo piece, especially with our copy of Ground Xeno. It's just an overall fantastic one-of. You don't need any more than a single copy of this card because it can brick, which is why I just play a single copy. We then play 3 copies of Soul Eating Oviraptor. Soul Eating Oviraptor is great as a 3-of because if this card is normal or special summon, you get to take a dinosaur monster from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard, which is a great ability to use this card, and it also lets you target one of the level 4 or lower dinosaur monster on the field, destroy it, and then special summon a dinosaur monster from your graveyard in defense position, which is an awesome ability to work with your copy of your Baby Cerosaurus and Petite Pterodon. We then play a single copy of Miscellaneous Source. Have you read Misk? This card is really insane as a 1-of because it can help you special summon out your copy of your Archaeosaurus directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is just an insane ability. And also during either player's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and during the main phase, dinosaur type monsters you control are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects, which is such a cool ability. You can play a single copy of Kaitaterra. Kaitaterra is really helpful as a 1-of in the build, as it helps you go in for fusion plays into your copy of Hornsaurus, which is so cool to be able to do because it helps you get to your copy of Lost World. And if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters that are faceable on the field except Whim, and those monsters cannot target this card for attacks, which is a really cool ability. This card also has the ability that during your main phase, you can add a polymerization from your deck to your hand, and if this card is banished, you can special summon this card. Then you can add a polymerization from your graveyard to your hand, which is a great effect. We then play 3 copies of Baby Ceresaurus. Baby Ceresaurus helps out a lot in the deck, because if this card is destroyed by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a level 4 dinosaur monster from the deck, which is a really cool ability because we have a lot of cards that are going to be destroying Baby Ceresaurus to be able to special summon cards from the deck. We then play a single copy of Petite Pterodon. I feel like you only need a single copy in this build. It has a really good effect. If it's destroyed by card effect and sent to the grave, you can special summon a level 4 higher dinosaur monster from the deck, which is a great effect, but it cannot attack this turn. We then play 2 copies of Archaeosaurus. Archaeosaurus is great as a 2-of, aka the Orby Dinosaur. His card searches our copy of Double Evolution Pill, which helps out a lot in the deck, which is why I play this card as a 2-of, and it can be summoned off your copy of Miscellaneous Source's Banish effect. Because it is a level 1, you only have to banish Miscellaneous Source to be able to special summon this card, which is great to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Frostosaurus. Frostosaurus is great to be able to work with our copy of Xeno, and it helps out overall a lot in the deck to help us summon out our copy of Lars, but it's overall just a really good card to be able to work with Ground Xeno and our copy of our Xeno, which is just really, really cool. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Polymerization. Polymerization is great as a 1-of in the build because this card helps you fusion summon out all sorts of awesome cards like Hornsaurus using your copy of Kaitotera. And Kaitotera can actually search this card, which is why we just play a single copy. We then play a single copy of Lost World. Lost World's a great 1-of because you can put it on your side of the field with your copy of Hornsaurus, so I feel like you really just need a single copy in the build. It does have the ability all monsters on field lose 500 attack and defense points except dinosaur type monsters, which is a little bit of a downside for this deck because our main boss monster is a sea serpent, which is why I just play a single copy in the build because you can get to it when you need it with your copy of Hornsaurus. And then play 2 copies of Double Evolution Pill. Double Evolution Pill is awesome in the deck as a 2-of because it helps us summon out our copy of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno directly from our deck, which is an awesome effect. And plus this card is searchable off the Orby Dinosaur Archaeosaurus, which is just absolutely amazing. We then play 2 copies of Bonding D2O. D2O is how we summon out our copy of Water Dragon Cluster, which is why we play this card as a 2-of in the build. It has the ability to tribute 2 Deutrions and an Oxygidon in your hand or your field to be able to special summon a Water Dragon or a Water Dragon Cluster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, and it is treated as being special summoned with a copy of Bonding H2O. And if a Water Dragon or Water Dragon Cluster is sent from the field to the grave while this card's in your graveyard, you get to add this card back to your hand, which is a great ability so you can summon out your copy of Water Dragon Cluster all over again. We then play 3 copies of Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig is definitely a 3-of in the deck because this card is basically Rhoda for the deck. We then play 3 copies of Ground Xeno. Ground Xeno is such a powerful card because this card has the ability to let you add a dinosaur tuner or a dinosaur normal monster from your deck to your hand, then destroy a card in your hand. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to be able to fusion summon a dinosaur fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material, which is a great effect to be able to summon into our copy of our Zawile in the extra deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 1, and that's going to be a single copy of Bonding DHO. This card is really good as a 1-of in the build and lets you shuffle a Deutrion, Hydrogidon, and an Oxygidon from your hand and or graveyard into the deck to be able to special summon a Water Dragon Cluster from your hand or grave. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to add a Water Dragon or Water Dragon Cluster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is a pretty cool ability, but I feel like really all you need is a single copy of this card, just as a good option. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Evil Tsar Lars. Lars is really good to be able to make in this build, and it's a super easy boss monster to be able to summon. With the ability, while this card is a material, your opponent going to target it with monster effects. And then when your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can actually detach 2 materials from this card, or just 1, if all materials are reptile and or dinosaur monsters. Then target 1 card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a great ability that this card is basically only ever going to detach 1 material material because we're pretty much only playing dinosaurs, so it's very easy to be able to use this card as a negate. Speaking of negates, we also play a single copy of Dolka and a single copy of Logia. These cards are just really good in the build overall. Being able to negate monster effects, I'm basically being a Solemn Judgment on legs, which is absolutely crazy. We play a single copy of number 90. We also play this card because it's an awesome negate in the build, and it's very easy to summon out to your side of the field because we can just use 2 copies of Water Dragon that we summon off a cluster to be able to make this card. We can play a single copy of Dingirsu. Dingirsu is really good to be able to summon out to your side of the field because if it's summoned out to your side of the field, you get to send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard, which is great to spot remove cards off the field. This card is awesome to be able to summon off your copy of your 2 Water Dragons because they're both level 8. We then play a single copy of Hornsaurus. Hornsaurus is very easy to summon and places a field spell on your side of the field. When it's summoned out to your side of the field, letting you put Lost World on the field, which is awesome. It does require a copy of Kaitotera plus a dragon or a dinosaur monster to make this card, so it's very easy to summon in this deck. This card can also attack directly to turn its special summon, and you get an additional normal summon after this card's effect activates of a dinosaur monster, which helps out a lot in this build. We then play a single copy of Gigantic Zawile. We play this card because it is absolutely gigantic, coming out at 3,800 attack points. It's an overall fantastic boss monster and very easy to summon with your copy of Xeno. We then play a single copy of Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card is awesome in the deck because it is a worm monster, so when Xeno does lock you into your different types, you can still make this card, which is absolutely amazing. And for each banished card, this card gains 100 attack and defense points, and monsters your opponent control lose 100 attack and defense points. And this card would be destroyed by card effects. You can actually banish a card from the grave instead, and if a card is banished, you get to banish 1 each card from your opponent's field and grave, which is a really cool ability. And then play a single copy of Access Code because it can pop cards on the field and comes out absolutely massive. 1 copy of Appaloosa because it's just a really good card to be able to have multiple negates on the field. Play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff. 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps. A single copy of Pentastag. Pentastag is really good because it helps monsters do piercing damage that it's pointing to. 1 copy of SP Little Knight. You could play a copy of Zeus if you wanted to instead of this card, but this card is really good in the deck to be able to play because it is a double interruption. But again, if you want a more budget option instead of SP Little Knight, you can change it out for a copy of Double A Zeus. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is just really good overall in the build because you can make your copy of Nightmare Unicorn during the opponent's turn or SP Little Knight. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Water Dragon deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's really fun to be able to summon out Water Dragon because it's such a nostalgic boss monster played by Bastion, which is so cool. And I really loved seeing it played in the show. Hopefully we get support for this deck soon because it really does need some support, but it's a really cool deck to be able to play. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.